The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixpack.net. With me, as usual, AJ Applegarth. What's going on, man?
I see you're also wearing a VT shirt.
I mean, yeah, Hokie game playing tonight. Nobody make comments because we will be very pissed off. We're both watching it on delay.
Yes,
after the show. So we haven't been on Thursday Night Football in quite some time. So yeah, we didn't plan for this one very well. But Tech and West Virginia, man, that's like old school rivalry going back to our time at Tech.
Break out your D cells because somebody's getting clocked with a battery sock.
Get out your fire extinguishers because West Virginia is going to be burning some couches. Right. We just lost all our West Virginia fans, all two of them. So I think we're good. But anyway, man, so tonight we're going to try to get through this as quick as possible because we want to watch a good football game. We also want to watch the Pittsburgh and Browns game, which is actually way more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. I believe it is 14-13 Pittsburgh. Yep. It should be tied, but Pittsburgh or the Browns kicker doing to kick extra point. So yeah, sucks for him. Anyway, yeah, man. So tonight we're gonna be getting into getting you ready for week 3 of the fantasy football season, and to do that, obviously we'll be going through my rankings. I'm gonna get grilled on my rankings like I have been, which has been fun and difficult questions. I give credit to you and Mike for those. So I'm happy to keep doing that. And then before that, though, we're gonna get through some target touches, snap count data, kind of trends, right? Usage trends, if you want to call it that. I know that encompasses a whole lot of other things, but for fantasy purposes, right? It's the usage as far as like how they're being used. It's fantasy relevant that we care about. So we're going to go through some of that data, kind of give our quick analysis on what that means, and maybe take some stuff away from that, and then run through our injuries. But before we do all of that, I want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, those like buttons, leave those ratings. We appreciate it. And also make sure you go to fantasysixpack.net/plans. Hit up the promo, sign up for the all access plan. Promo code, a few left, guys. F6P early. I know it's not early anymore, but we got a few left, so I left it open. 25% off for the rest of the season here. I did lower the price already as we're a couple of weeks in. You guys have access to our award-winning rankings, which I was top 10 last week. Nick Spencer was number 11. We've had all 5 of us, I think, were in the top 60. The first week, there's over 200 rankers. So that's still top notch. So very, very good rankings here. You have access to us on our Discord server, which is just a free chat, just a chat program that you guys can access. Ask us all of your custom league questions, right? That's where the money's at. You guys can ask Dave Eddy all his DFS questions, Preston. We've got betting advice, so you can earn your money back easily, real quick, in just a couple of weeks, just from getting DFS advice and betting advice from these guys. So hit that up. But I'm ready to drink some beer. What about you, AJ?
Yeah, I already started.
All right.
Well, sure.
Beer.
Well, since you already started, what you got?
All right, so this is a freshie I just picked up tonight. Awesome artwork on the can. It's like a rat face.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of
creepy looking, actually, dude.
Type deal. Yeah, so this is called, I think it's called 3 Cubed. It's like a little 3 with a 3 thing. But yeah, right. You just saw it was a triple dry hopped, triple IPA.
Oh, after last week, you said you were going to be going lower ABV to
Yeah,
lower your tolerance.
that
Liar.
lasted long. I did so well with it. I'm already back up.
Yeah.
I don't know if he remembered him saying that.
I don't. Probably didn't.
Oh my god. Anyway, all right. So
but anyway, yeah, it's a 9.4 percenter. It's really fucking good.
all right, good stuff, man.
4.5, I think. On
So I am drinking an other half. It's called Mosaic and Galaxy. Pretty boring can. I mean, all their cans are kind of boring, but it is what it is. It's Mosaic plus Galaxy. It's a double dry hopped 8.5%. I forgot. This is my last one of these. I forget what I gave it. Give my quick take on it now, I guess. 3 3/4. I mean, the other half have sort of, I've sort of just gotten over them for some reason. They're good. They're just, I think as we have both figured out, they're all sort of the same, which is weird. I think we've said that a few times. So they're still okay, but they're not the best anymore. There's plenty other better ones out there. They've got some really phenomenal ones, but yeah, it is what it is. So alrighty. So let's what?
I said let's talk football.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to find it. I can't even find my check-in. They've got so many like
Christ.
mosaics anyway. All right.
Take it to the Discord channel. All right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Rants. I'll start a rants channel.
All right. So let's talk about some trends here that we've got with targets, touches, snap counts. I wrote an article and I meant to do it last week, but with the site crashing and a whole bunch of other stuff that was going on, unfortunately, I didn't get to do it. So this was my first week writing it. It came out this morning, and what I did is I had 2 tables. So one with running backs and one with receivers. Whole bunch of data, snap count data for week 2, season long snap counts. Same thing for targets and receptions and carries. So, I put a whole bunch of data in there. It isn't every team. I'm not a whole fantasy database. Like I'm not an NFL database. So I grabbed a whole bunch of data from our good friends at Fantasy Data and compiled it all together. Just picked and choose what I wanted, threw it in the table. I mean, I could have gotten this, honestly, a lot of this data from a whole bunch of different sources, but that's my go-to. And then I gave some quick analysis on a few of the more interesting backfields and receiving cores. And the one that I want to start with, AJ, and I want to get your thoughts on this one too, is the Green Bay backfield, right? So we all came into the season thinking Aaron Jones was still the one to roster, right? If you're in any sort of point per reception league. So either even if it was just half, right? He was the one to roster because, he was probably going to be close enough in carries to AJ Dillon, but he was going to far and away exceed AJ Dillon's targets and receptions that it made all the difference, right? Well, we're 2 weeks in, and what we're seeing is it is actually everything is in AJ Dillon's favor as far as snap counts, carries, targets. Now receptions are in Aaron Jones's favor, but I mean the fact that AJ Dillon actually has, and I know it's just one more target, but the fact that he actually has one more target than Aaron Jones, even just through 2 weeks, is just shocking to me.
Yeah.
Now Aaron Jones went off last week, right, and was super efficient with all of his touches, and outperformed for fantasy purposes AJ Dillon.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know. What's your quick take on this? As far as like who we can trust moving forward.
I mean, I think we can trust both of them. They're still going to be the focal points of this offense in my mind because we still aren't sure what we're getting out of Rodgers. I mean, he did look better, I guess, but I mean, he still hasn't looked great. He doesn't have a great chemistry with his receivers yet. So I think it's it's definitely something to keep in mind that the running backs will be the focus here. So, I mean, and then you're looking at the season snap percentages. I mean, Dylan's still a little under Jones, but
oh, you're right. Sorry, I read that backwards.
I mean,
You're right. Yeah,
they were basically exactly the same for last week, though, for snap percentage. So to me, it seems like they're getting Jones more involved again. For whatever reason, he just, week 1 was a Dylan game. Because of that, I started him last week and didn't really wow me like he did my bench the first week.
Yeah, it's I'll give my quick reaction to that in a second, but I want to get our good friend Bob Doe.
What up, Bob?
I love doing that. I don't know why. I'm sure he gets a lot. He asked for it with that name. But his question is Stafford or Murray this week, and I'm in on Murray. I get that the matchup tells you play Stafford ahead, but I mean Murray's got that rushing upside, and we saw that even in honestly a pretty bad game for Murray against the Raiders last week. He made it. Magic happened in the fourth quarter, and then overtime, and he had a good day. So that's what these rushing quarterbacks can do. Stafford needs to be efficient, not turn the ball over, and he's turned the ball over 5 times already this season. So that's not good news.
Leads the league.
Right. I mean, we saw it last week, or last year. I mean, so he was pretty high with his interception. So I'm all in on Murray on that one. But AJ, unless you've got a different answer, I can give my quick response to the Green Bay backfields. So my quick take on this Green Bay backfield is that, yes, both guys can be reliable every week. It's going to be hard to predict like monster weeks. It's going to be really hard to rank either one of these guys like inside your top 8, probably even the top 10, unless one starts distancing themselves from the other, which I just don't see happening. I kind of thought that, like I said, I kind of alluded to, we all kind of thought Jones was going to be the guy that might do it, because of the rushing or the receiving upside. But Dylan is cut into that too. So that's what's really going to hurt. You can kind of see him being a 1A, 1B, and that's fine, but it's tough. So my next backfield here that I want to talk about is the Patriots. And if we look at their stats here really quickly, we've got Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are the two that we really care about, right? And, we see that Ramondre Stevenson has outsnapped Damian Harris. Now, Damian Harris has out-carried Stevenson, which we're not shocked about. But Damian Harris has also out-targeted and out-caught Stevenson, which is also shocking. Very strange. Like, I don't know what to read into this because Harris obviously, just like Aaron Jones, right? Last week, like Damian Harris had a good week. He was very efficient with his touches. But I feel like that's hard to count on when you are playing, if you look at last week, it was 61% to 39% snap percentage for Stevenson to Harris. That much of a difference really makes me think like that's going to be very short-lived for Harris to like keep up that kind of efficiency. But what's your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts on this one is that I agree that it's shocking to see, Stevenson ahead, but it's not a big gap. Last week's clearly was. So it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues. But this was a contract year for Damian Harris. It says prove it year. He was supposed to just get run ragged. That's kind of how we were looking at it, that he was just going to get tossed out there all the time. It's just, it doesn't make sense that he's got less of a snap percentage, but
much less, really.
Better stats. I mean, more carries, more targets, or one more target. So it's still right there. But I mean, are they running 2 running back sets and he's just getting it, or are they just putting Stevenson out there for whatever reason? He just happens to be on more plays, but he's just not getting the call.
Yeah, I wonder if it's one of those things where, they have been behind in games, and so Stevenson's obviously the pass catching back, and so he's in there for pass protection and kind of that, he can swing out and catch the ball, even if he doesn't, right? And so maybe that's why he was on the field a bunch more last week.
Definitely.
But you would I think what gets me is like it's the usage percentage per snap, right? So it's kind of like when Harris is on the field, he's getting used a lot more than Stevenson. And I think we all thought that when Steven was on the field, because of the lack of like really phenomenal receivers and Mac Jones probably checking you down a lot, you thought Stevenson would get used a lot more. So there's a lot to take away, but I think one of the things that I even wrote about in the article that came out today was, surprise, are we going to be able to, trust a New England running back from week to week? And again, I don't think we are. But they're both going to be in that like low end running back 2, maybe running back 3 flex range type of thing. That's kind of where they're going to sit almost all season, it feels like, just from the early usage until maybe somebody breaks away. So
yeah, I think so.
Next situation, which is wow. This one literally has, I don't know what to say at this point. I was dead wrong, and I apologize to everybody. I mean, I know there was a lot of people that were like, I don't like ETN, but I don't think there was a whole lot of people going, I really like James Robinson. Like coming off an Achilles injury, right?
Hey, look at Cam Akers. He did it. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
So what we are seeing so far with the Jags backfield here is James Robinson out snapping Travis Etienne 56-44, and then on the season, and then if I could find my numbers here, so the big shocker here, like out carrying him 34-13. He out carried him 23-9 last week, which still means he out carried him in the week before, by the way, in week 1, which if you can't do the math, he did. It's 11-4. Targets, yes, in ETN's favor, but he's not catching the ball. He's only caught 3 of them. James Robinson has caught 2. Travis Etienne did have 2 atrocious catches. The first game. So that's that is a big reason why. But I'm going to give my quick thoughts on this one first. Look, we were wrong on James Robinson. He's proving us all wrong, obviously. I still don't think he's going to be a juggernaut fantasy player. If you really look at last week, it was like a big, like, it was a long run. I forget how long it was that really propelled his fantasy day, which, I mean, look, you can't get rid of those, but like sometimes as outliers, you go like, all right, I mean, the rest of his carries, he averaged like $1.50, a carry. So if he didn't break like a 40-yard run, then, even if you just dropped that to 20 and it wasn't a touchdown, it would have been a miserable day for him. So you can always look at that a little bit. And then with ETN, my thing is, I think we all kind of forgot that ETN's still technically a rookie. I mean, he never played.
He's the Ben Simmons of the NFL. I mean, in a good way, just hasn't played. You got redshirted.
Yeah.
Right. So, there is something to kind of take away from that, right? Where he's still a rookie. So maybe he's going to start learning some things. I still have watched, both Jags games, and watched ETN. Some of his runs, like, he's electric, man. He makes spin moves, he makes guys miss, and that's something that I like. But he's just making mistakes, and so he's not on the field enough. And so that's where James Robinson, a pro at this point, has been able to take over earlier than I think anybody anticipated, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not necessarily surprised to see this. I didn't think it was going to be this far of a split in Robinson's favor.
I know, no way.
But I mean, I like it as a late round flyers that I took on him in a few leagues. He's been good. So
you could also attribute it to, I mean, we all expected the Jaguars to be down and trying to play catch up. Yeah. And they've been ahead against the Commanders and against the Colts. They led the entire game.
Right.
So it is kind of a little game script dependent as well.
Yeah, that does matter for sure. That's a good point, Mike. That Commanders game, when he had those two drops that were touchdowns, man, that would have been, I feel like that could have been season changing for ETN, even if it was just week one, right? Like, almost you catch both of those, fall into the end zone. We're not talking about this right now. They ride ETN at this point.
Almost like flashes of DeAndre Swift in his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah, I mean, will it surprise me if, week 8, 9, 10 or something, ETN all of a sudden just starts blowing up? Absolutely not. I mean, we're not seeing hardly any of these rookie running backs at this point. And even in the last couple of years, really just blow up week one and moving on from there. Like, Najee Harris was one. I mean, Jonathan Taylor struggled early on. Yeah. Swift struggled early on. Like, all these guys struggled early on until you start learning how fast these NFL defenses really are. And you can't just like outrun them to the corner because you're going to get caught by, even the DNs half the time. So that's one thing. Now, the last backfield I want to talk about, AJ, is the Rams. So another one where, actually not another one, but this is one where we saw week one, and we talked about it, right? Week one, Darrell Henderson was the only running back for this team. I mean, Cam Akers, 3 attempts, zero everything. So Darrell Henderson was the man, right? 13 for 47, 5 receptions, 26 yards. I mean, not a great day, but you're looking at the usage there and you're going, shit. I mean, Cam Akers, like, all right, bye, buddy. Like, I'm not dropping you yet. I want to see what happens because I probably spent too much draft capital on you, but you weren't feeling great about that.
Yeah.
Week 2. A little bit different of a story. Now, Darrell Henderson outperformed him as far as fantasy because he got into the end zone. But Cam Akers saw 5 more carries, 15 to 10. Yes, the yards per attempt weren't there, so the yardage wasn't there. Saw all 3 of the running back targets, 3. And then the snap count was
Reverse.
still in Henderson's favor.
By a lot.
But 56 to 43. So you're talking 35 to 27. But you like the fact that Akers got back into the mix, right? I think that's what we were all hoping for.
Well, and again, looking at just last week's snap count, I mean, it's 70%. That's what I thought you were talking about. I mean, Henderson's at almost 70% last week, and Akers is just over 30. So, yeah, he somehow managed to gain ground. But it almost seems like, well, Henderson's going to be out here for this specific type of plays, these passing plays, when he didn't even get targeted. So he was a complete decoy for those, if that was even a thing. But I don't know. It's just goofy trends, man. It's goofy trends like this.
And it's early, that's the thing
that drive fantasy managers nuts.
And you know what? The biggest thing about this, right, is like, there are leagues out there where somebody's going after week 1. Cam Akers only saw 3 carries, 0 points, drop him. You 1000% needed to pick up Cam Akers. Yes, did he bounce back in week 2, to what we all hoped he would be? Absolutely not. But a running back getting 15 carries, you're taking that all day. You want that. You're not going to find a lot of running backs getting you 15 carries in, by the way, a very good offense. So that's something that you strive to find. And if you were able to go trade on the cheap for Cam Akers, in hopes, maybe it doesn't work out, right? Maybe Cam Akers is a complete bust this year and he keeps at his 2.5 yards per carry on the season. You know what? If you traded for dirt cheap or picked him off the waiver wire, who cares at that point? Yeah. It's the people who drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round that are going, crap. That's how you got hurt, But I still have slim hopes that Cam Akers can end up being the lead back here and really make things happen. We can go back to Jacksonville, right? Like I said, if you got rid of Robinson's long run, he didn't have a good yards per carry either.
No.
So coming off Achilles injuries is tough. He just broke one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was an electric run. He kind of ran over one dude and another guy just straight up missed, and then he just kind of turned it upfield and there was nobody there. That was kind of what happened. So can Cam Akers do that? I think he can. So let's move over here to some receiving cores, and we're going to just cut this one a little short here and just do 2. Yeah. So we're going to start with the Jets here, and just kind of interesting, just how productive, really, I guess, this whole receiving core has been, right, with Joe Flacco.
Hey,
I should have brought my Joe Flacco bobblehead over here from my wife's a Ravens fan.
Leads the league in passing attempts, Joe Flacco.
I mean,
anybody in the Baltimore area that's heard these questions or these ads knows what I just did.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, "Hey, it's Jay Flaccolicious for Pizza Hut."
Yes. The worst commercials ever. This is why they quickly pivoted.
Absolute worst.
Everybody
reads of all
every
time.
Advertising company in the Baltimore area quickly switched to the kicker. Why am I blanking on freaking the kicker's name? He's the best kicker in the league. Tucker, yes, because he's got so much more personality. He's got so much more personality.
A little leash here.
Anyway, so the Jets receiving core.
We don't focus on kickers. That's why.
Yes, I just forget about them half the time. Anyway, So the receiving core, like clearly Garrett Davis had that monster week last week, and so Garrett Wilson. I mean, he is clearly a talent. The thing here, though, right, is I look at the snap count data, and Elijah Moore leads it by quite a bit. Even last week, right? I mean, he leads it by 25% snap count.
Every play
like he leads it by everything. He's just not getting the targets. It's a wonder, like when, like I don't know if defenses are like shifting all their focus on Elijah Moore for some reason and leaving Garrett Wilson open, or if Elijah Moore isn't good. And we all got fooled last year, and Garrett Wilson is, and we all know Garrett Wilson is super talented. We knew that, right? He was a first receiver taken in the draft for a reason. Yeah. But you look at the data, and Moore's running more plays, more routes than all three, even Corey Davis. So, like, do we just see Garrett Davis sort of taking over, or do we see Elijah Moore maybe getting more opportunity?
You're going to have to clarify that. You said Garrett Davis.
Garrett Wilson. Sorry, I'm reading everything all at the same time. Garrett Wilson just taking off, or do we see Elijah Moore? Davis? Or do we see Elijah Moore like starting to catch up as far as fantasy production?
The big thing here again is that we're looking at Joe Flacco as their starter. Maybe he just doesn't have this chemistry with Moore yet that Zach Wilson had towards the end of last year. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it yet. I'd look at it a little harder once Zach Wilson gets on the field and starts throwing the ball to these guys.
So you bring up a good point about Zach Wilson. He's going to be, they're saying he's going to return in week 4. I mean, we saw him sort of struggle. Well, not sort of. We saw him struggle really bad at the early part of last season. Came back off that injury for multiple weeks and was like kind of hit or miss, right? Elijah Moore was still fantasy relevant, right? But he was kind of the only guy because that's kind of all they had. But now with Corey Davis healthy again and Garrett Wilson obviously there, Carter's healthy, Breece Hall, do you see Zach Wilson being able to keep all of these guys fantasy relevant, or at least one of the running backs and 2 of the receivers, at least? Like, I think most people care about Moore and Wilson as far as the receivers. So do you see him to be able to do that, or are we worried that he can't do what Joe Flacco is doing, at least?
Please don't talk like that ever again. No, I'm not at all worried that he cannot do what Joe Flacco can do.
Sure.
Yes. Sorry, I'm getting yelled at by my computer battery.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest, I sort of am. I think Joe Flacco isn't an elite quarterback by any means, but I think in that kind of offense where he's getting all the volume, I think there is something to Joe Flacco being able to just sling the ball downfield and make it work for these guys. He's not going to be a good fantasy quarterback, but I think his receivers can be very, very good. Yeah, you're struggling there. Your computer is definitely having issues.
Because I just plugged it in.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna finish off here with this targets and stuff data here, and we're gonna hit 2 teams. We're gonna hit 2 teams at the same time. So Kansas City and Green Bay, both kind of in very similar situations, right? They both lost their stud receiver, their go-to guy, in Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, and they kind of just accumulated guys, right? Now Kansas City has been better this year as far as passing and points scored than Green Bay, so they're making it work, right? But for fantasy, we're still kind of underwhelmed as far as the receivers. for Green Bay, you know, they didn't have Lazard week 1. I think he played limited snap counts in week 2. But like, so with either one of these teams, and you can take one and maybe we'll take the other one real quick. Are you seeing one or two receivers sort of like rising over the rest that we can trust? Because right now there's really not any receivers on these teams that we have been able to trust out through 2 weeks.
No, I mean it's name players that we've seen, but they're just not doing it. You said you're taking Green Bay, so I'll take Kansas.
I said you can take whoever you want.
Is that? Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll take Kansas City then.
All right.
So you've got Mecole Hardman is the only guy that's there, that's been there, and he's the lowest snap share last week. Not including Sky Moore because he's a rookie and hasn't really gotten anything. But he's lowest on the season. He's got 4 targets last week compared to 7 for MVS and only 3 for Juju. But that's worrisome too. They're just not seeing anything. The ball is just going everywhere but to these receivers in general, I feel like. And Mahomes has been having phenomenal games. So
yeah, he's just spread the ball around and it's working.
Yeah.
He's dumping it off to his receivers a lot too. Edwards-Helaire has been pretty good there. McKinnon, really good. And then when they get it close, they can run it in or whatever. So yeah, this is one of the teams I talked about in the article. It's just kind of whatever. And on the flip side, like Green Bay was similar situation, as I said. I still think Lazard will rise to the top. I think he's the trustworthy receiver, but he came off the injury that held him out a lot of the preseason and through week 1. So I'd hoped for more in week 2, but we didn't get it. He still scored. So you got that at least, but the targets weren't there. The snap count wasn't there, but I think he's going to take over. But if you look at the rest of these guys, it's the same situation as Kansas City. It's just totally spread out. Just the production isn't as good with the Kansas City guys for whatever reason. Maybe Green Bay just has a few too many rookies that they're starting as opposed to Kansas City. At least they've got like a couple of years under that belt at Kansas City, which I guess helps. So, yeah. All right, man. So that's it for that. And again, guys, check out that article I put out on Fantasy Six Pack this morning, Thursday morning, going over a little bit more of this. And there's some data charts for you to look at some of the more interesting teams that I thought of, at least. So, but let's move into our rankings discussion. And AJ, have at it, man.
Oh, yeah. Let's do this. Time for the grill. If my computer would go to the page. Come on, you.
So the first question is Kirk Cousins, if you can just remember.
Yes, I can. I should be able to. I just wrote these not too long ago.
Do you remember how many question marks you put after the end of the question?
Ooh. Can I go with 4?
Damn.
I still don't have it up.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Right? All right.
Oh,
pretty phenomenal. Hey, remember when we thought there's going to be more points in this game? It's still 14-13.
This game is going somewhere quick.
Yeah, we all got excited.
Yeah. So, all right. I think it's my mouse is actually the issue. Yep. User error.
Well, let's figure it out.
Okay. So, Kirk Cousins, you have him with, he obviously has a much more favorable matchup this week with Detroit than what he was up against on Monday night in the Eagles. But I don't disagree with, giving him some more love there because of the matchup. But I mean, this is a woulda, coulda, shoulda been 5 interception game Monday against the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles looked ridiculously phenomenal.
Dude, they look awesome. People talking Super Bowl for the Eagles, by the way, now, which is I'm like, go, let's slow our roll.
Super Bowl. It just don't get me started on that. But anyway, you've got
Mike,
Cousins
you're one of them.
all the way up at QB.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not the highest. I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna come out and say that. By the way, I'm not the highest out there. Look, the Lions are awful for one, and let's put it this way. Can I just cut it short here? Kirk Cousins isn't playing on prime time. We're good.
Yeah, they did mention that
when Kirk Cousins plays on Monday
today.
No, thank you.
On WIP morning show.
I don't know what it is about Monday night. I know he's had like one good game, and people are like, "Oh, it's not all the time." Get the out of here! Like dude, this dude is a total disaster on primetime television. No idea why.
Way too many losses to count. I don't think he like just got his first win maybe like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was
over.
It was really bad. So look, it's matchup. He's still got Justin Jefferson. He's still got Dalvin Cook throwing the ball to Adam Thielen. Irv Smith is really picking things up. It's a phenomenal situation for him.
Really good on Monday, actually. We've always been talking about it every year.
I said in the preseason, if this dude can stay healthy, he's a top 12 tight end.
The Irv Smith year.
It could be
next year. Is this the Irv Smith year? Next year, son of a bitch. When is this guy gonna pan out?
Keep buying in because he's super cheap.
I think he's here.
Yeah, so we're seeing the talent show at this point. You just got to hope he stays healthy. But really, it just comes down to matchup, and he's got all the weapons. I mean, people were buying into him as a top 13, 14 quarterback. In draft season. These are the matchups that you go, okay, he's going to be inside the top 10. This is what makes him QB 11 the last 2 seasons overall. This is why you put him in these matchups. So
don't mind me.
So I found the official stat for Kirk Cousins for prime time. Thank you, prideofdetroit.com.
Prove me wrong.
Kirk Cousins has a record of 10-18 in totality of primetime games.
So I'm just talking Monday night.
Yes, I have that here. I have that here for you as well. I want to give you everything. Come on. Now, Monday night, he has a record of 2-10.
Good God. I knew it was bad, but wow. I'm actually surprised he got 2 wins, to be honest.
I don't even remember the second one.
Yeah, it's bad. He's horrific on Monday night, and I don't know why. So anyway, next question.
Next question. So meanwhile, down in Miami,
erstwhile,
we've got Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. I think I said it right that time. I mean, he nearly broke the interwebs with this supernatural, outerworldly week 2 performance of a game. Yet you've got him ranked all the way down as QB 16 for week 3. All right. Yeah, I get it. He's facing arguably the best team in the NFL, so far this season, behind probably the Eagles. But Miami's also 2-0 against arguably better teams. And they're finally playing at home. The Rams looked like absolute dog dookie on Thursday Night Football against the Bills. The Bills destroyed them in their home stadium and then just laughed about it. Then last week against Tennessee looked like they had maybe like 3 more ones in their number 1 seed from last year playoff team.
Yeah, Tennessee was bad.
And it was a joke.
I think Mark Strasberg said it perfectly. They look like South Harmon Institute of Technology out there.
Y'all don't know that reference, man. Go watch Accepted, the movie from the early 2000s. It's a pretty phenomenal movie, by the way. It's you got to be ready for like stupid funny comedy, but it's good. All right, so first off, can I just say that I somehow lost a fantasy matchup, and I actually had Tua as my second Superflex quarterback.
I don't want to hear it, Joe. I played Dylan this week, who had Lamar Jackson and Tua. 112, actually 13 total points.
Oof.
I mean, yeah, 54.8 from Lamar, 58.55 from Tua.
Holy crap, those are some crazy
That's
ads. I mean, Tua was like a normal like 40-point scorer, but yeah, so I somehow lost that. But it was also because I scored like 156 points, and the dude I played had 176. Like, the hell do you do about that? Like, that's just nuts. Anyway,
You move on.
yeah, it's just sort of like, I think we'll be fine if I can keep doing that. What the hell did you... Oh, nice. Pull out the lighter bottle opener. I like it. That's old school. I haven't done that in a while. What is that?
The hippo is a very nice animal.
I don't know what the hell you're doing right now. Anyway, so I think with Tua, right, is that
Drinking a beer.
like, I mean, I think we all like Tua, and we're all excited about what we saw in week 2 from him. But you got to remember, like, he did it all basically in the fourth quarter. So it was like one quarter of play. Baltimore was down a bunch of secondary players.
Yeah,
at that
so
point.
imagine him doing that in 4 quarters, bro. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's what people chasing points do. I mean, the thing going for him in this game is that, look, they might be down a bunch. And so you think opportunity, but sometimes that doesn't always work, right? Like when the defense can just go after you, and Buffalo can, Tua is not going to be able to just, do his thing. Now, I mean, Tua made some phenomenal throws last week. And a lot of people want to say, like, oh, those balls to like Tyreek, they were underthrown. But he also threw some just daggers right down the middle of the field, like into close coverage, tight coverage, where it was really good. So, if he can start doing that more, then I'll bump him up. But this is a tough matchup. Division opponent. It's still just hard to put him much higher than this. I could potentially bump him up a couple spots, but it's I could put him against up in front of like Wentz and Tom Brady, sure, because Tom Brady hasn't been awesome because his receivers have been hurt, but that's really about it. So,
okay. I mean,
I'm not buying into 40 points again. If he scores 18, I think we'll be okay. That's
I'm not buying what he did this past week. Just to clarify,
right?
It was a great performance, especially for fantasy, but you don't get that type of performance consistently, especially out of a Tua. So I don't necessarily disagree with him being out of your QB1 by any means, but I would put him a little higher too. Maybe only a couple spots, but
yeah, I think that's where the slight overreaction comes from that is like, had he scored just 25 points last week, would we be going, 16 is too low? But he had just like this amazing fourth quarter, which we've almost never seen before. So, and everybody's going, oh my God, he's got to be way higher. Then you look, it's Buffalo, but he's still got to be higher. No. Still Buffalo. Buffalo's going to shut you down. Sorry.
You mean to tell me that Irv Smith and Tua came out at the same time on the same week? Whoa.
All right, let's move over here to the running backs.
All right, so sticking with my birds here, got Mr. Miles Sanders. He's quietly had 2 very solid rushing performances, yet you've still only got him at running back 17 this week against, fairly middle of the road Washington rush defense. We already talked about them facing the Jags, gave up some decent yardage to Robinson on that. And then last week we saw what happened with them again. Not terrible, but not like amazing. So what else does Sanders really need to do to prove to you that he's a pretty legit threat?
Honestly, I think RB17 is a legit threat. I mean, you're talking an RB2, right? So most people, aren't going to have at this point 2 guys much higher than that. So he's in most likely a lot of people's starting lineups. I still think you want to see better usage out of him. They use Gainwell a lot in the red zone, which is not great to see. So that's something that you want to see. You do like the fact that they're using Sanders, like he's out touching everybody in this backfield by more than double, which is not something we've seen in the past. So until they bring in Jordan Howard, I think we might be good finally. So there's at least a silver lining.
Don't you dare put that into existence.
I just wanted to see AJ's reaction.
If you somehow make Jordan Howard a thing this year, there will be hell to pay.
I just wanted to see AJ's reaction to that because he knows it's true. So yeah, I mean that's the thing there. I mean, he's just like the snap counts are, he's almost double everybody else on the team. So I mean, I just think there's still that slight doubt in everybody's head, right? That I mean, at the flick of a wrist or snap of the finger, whatever it is, right? It's just they could be like, oh, today we want to use Boston Scott more, or today we want to use Kenneth Gainwell more. Like, and it's been Gainwell more than Scott so far, but I mean, we've seen in some pretty high leverage situations, to pull a baseball reference out, Gainwell's been the guy, which is weird. So
I mean, and Gainwell's good. I think that maybe there is thought that he is the future. They've obviously didn't extend Sanders past this year yet, so maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll see. But, I mean, he was even down on himself coming into the season. So
he said, "Don't draft me," which is hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, maybe he's just punking all of us. I don't know. Yeah. Again, I don't necessarily disagree with the ranking. I feel like.
I mean, so let's look at who I have ahead of him. Right?
Show a little bit.
Okay, so
more consistency,
right? So look at the guys that got ahead of him, right? I mean, obviously, let's just go.
You got the
top dogs, right? So don't worry about them.
7, 8,
Kamara,
9,
right? Kamara might not play, so that's a downer. I had Harris, who scored, but I feel like he hasn't had a great game, but he's at least scored, so that's going to help. Gibson, who's been really good. Diamont getting tons of volume. And you got Aaron Jones, Buddy Williams, Swift, Fournette. Like you got all the top dogs. So like moving into that kind of territory, that's pretty good company. Like I feel like that's pretty generous, and I'm the highest out of all the fantasy 6-pack guys, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I saw that. So I mean, again, I don't necessarily disagree with
you. You're totally wrong, but I don't know. I'm buying in a little bit more than everybody else. It feels like.
Yeah. So, speaking of buying in or buying out, I guess really would be this one. And penny for your thoughts, my lad. Rashad, nearly out of flex consideration for you this week against the pathetic Falcons. I mean, I see a lot of other maybe lesser performing guys ranked ahead of him here. I'm talking Akers. I'm talking Carter. You got Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, is it a volume thing? Is it just Penny is who we thought he is? I mean, out of flex, though?
It's everything, man. So first off, this offense. I mean, it looked it looked really good, and they were really motivated in week 1 against Denver. They were at home, so that obviously helps.
Yeah.
But there was no Kenneth Walker week 1, right? So that makes a big difference, right? Come week 2, Kenneth Walker comes back, and you see Penny's snap count go from, in week 1, it was 69%, nice, to 40%. And to where Kenneth Walker wasn't the one that like really closed the gap, right? Travis Homer, 44%. Like, excuse me?
Love Travis Homer.
But still, Kenneth Walker saw almost 25% of the snap percentage. You look at the touches, right? Rushing, Walker 4, Homer 2, Penny 6. Nobody did much of anything with any of those. So whatever. Penny didn't see any targets. So you're just looking at this as a holistic thing and going, it's just bad. Like, this is just bad all around. Now they're splitting it up. The offense sucks, which we all kind of expected. Like, I think we were all super shocked at how good they looked in week 1.
Yes.
I mean, could Penny like pop it off? I think he's got the talent. It's just one of those situations where right now it's just a lot of unknowns. And with now what we've seen, and I know it's just 1 week, but with all 3, I guess, of these running backs, Penny, Walker, Homer, just the split workload really makes you not be able to rank anybody higher than a flex at this point. And Penny, I think, is still the best. But you can't really trust these guys more than a flex at this point.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We can jump into receiver here. I'll start with the first one, and Mike, I'll let you chime in for this next one, and then finish out with the tight ends here. So my question for receiver then is Christian Kirk. I mean, again, similar to like a Miles Sanders, he's been very good this season, and proof of that is your wide receiver 15 rank this week. But I'm also seeing plenty of what I would call air quotes proven consistency providers that you have behind him this week. I'm talking, Brandon Cooks, only a few spots. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got DJ Moore. Bateman's been pretty solid so far. What's the
So I need to correct you on one thing, and this isn't your fault. I actually tweaked the rankings probably 15 minutes before the show. I dropped Kirk to 17 and Cooks up to 15. Not your fault, but still, the rest of the question is totally relevant. I just want to, because I don't want people to look at my rankings and go, "The hell is he talking about?" I need to make sure that it's still relevant. Anyway, but the rest of the question is totally relevant. My problem is not so much that Kirk is a better receiver than them. It's just a better situation for him right now. He's getting force fed the ball. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, the amount of targets he's seeing. I mean, he's gotten 18 so far. He's catching. Last week, he literally caught everything and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, this Jacksonville offense is, as we sort of thought was going to happen, is really just feeding him the ball because they paid him like they should. He's seeing 90% snap counts both weeks. I mean, it's just incredible.
So is Marvin Jones Jr. though.
So he is up there with. No, not quite.
No, he's seeing
90 and 81. I mean, sorry. They're running a lot of
last
3.
Week, they were the same. Yeah, they're
running a lot of receiver routes, and I get it. He's now moved into that he can be a proven consistent provider of fantasy value as a Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks doesn't have a world breaker quarterback, or world beater quarterback, or even a good team. But what's his thing? Volume and opportunity, right? And so that's why we like him. CD right now is dealing with Cooper Rush. Fine, I guess. DJ Moore,
he's cool.
His arrow's pointing down, and this isn't Moore's fault at this point. Like,
it's
I know people really wanted to believe Baker was an upgrade. It wasn't, and I kind of knew that. But nobody felt like believing me for some reason. So DJ Moore, it is what it is with DJ Moore. I really wish DJ Moore could get out of Carolina or get a actual quarterback, because I feel like DJ Moore would just be phenomenal. But it is what it is with him.
I mean, if the Eagles still had J-Jaw, I think that would have been a straight up trade.
Dude, by the way, I laughed my ass off on Monday night when every single time they punted the ball to Jalen Reagor, the entire stadium booed.
Everyone.
It was so funny. I felt bad for the guy, but it's like,
too, actually.
And then
I honestly did for maybe like 30 seconds. And I was like,
he caught one and ended up going backwards 2 yards, and they cheered. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, oh my God. I feel so bad for this kid.
So good. That's so good.
He did catch like a 12-yard pass, though, that's fine.
That's Philly fans for you.
It is. It is.
Throwing snowballs at Santa.
Oh God, do we have to go through this again?
Every year I'm going to bring this up at least once.
Fucking year. I'm going to throw a snowball at you.
Fine.
But first,
have your hour and a half
I'm
down
going
here.
To cheers to Halloween.
Anyway.
It is still a holiday, people.
Next.
All right, Mike, your turn.
Next year.
No.
Yep. All right. So, obviously we've seen this Bears offense been struggling for 2 weeks now. How can you justify ranking Darnell Mooney even at wide receiver 39 with him only having a total of 4 receiving yards through 2 games?
Next question. No, I'm just kidding. For those of you who are listening, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and went,
pretty sure I had more positive yardage last week. Never mind.
You did, because he had -4. Everybody sitting on their couch had more yardage last week than Darnell Mooney, because you had 0.
Exactly.
That is incredible. But at least you caught a pass in the NFL. I don't know. This is just a bad. I think we're all just kind of hoping that this is just a weird start to the season for the Bears, right? So the first game, monsoon type rain, and then it was like a slip and slide, like nobody could do anything. So you kind of like just push that one out the window. And actually, they kind of finished strong. Equinemius St. Brown actually, did well in that game. Mooney didn't, for whatever reason. And I know he's going to get a lot of the attention by the secondary, because he is by far their best receiver. So, he's got to have to deal with that now. Last week was just like Justin Fields threw the ball how many times, and they were losing the entire game? 11? No, that doesn't make any sense. That's not right. I'm reading that wrong. That was 31, right? No, it was 11. And Mooney had 4 targets, caught 1. I think it was 4. I might be making that up, but it was not good. I have the stats in front of me. I should have just looked it up before I actually said that. He had 2 targets actually and caught 1. He has 5 total targets on the season. I mean, this is just crazy. So I think at this point with Mooney, right, you just have to hope that talent's going to win out to the point where he can at least be flex, worthy. And if he bombs again, I mean, yeah, he's gonna fall like a rock. I'll be honest, I've got him in a few leagues, and thankfully I drafted relatively well in the back half of my draft, and he's not in my starting lineup. So I've got a bunch of guys that, have overtaken him. But I know not everybody's in that scenario, and he's still going to be flex worthy at least at this point. I don't feel good about it though.
Yeah.
The guy I really don't feel good about, by the way, in that offense, Cole Kmet, dude. How much did we all love Cole Kmet? Holy crap! I mean, I've got a tight end 24 this week. Just like, what in the hell is happening?
I think
He's got
like
2 targets on the entire season and
Jeff
0
Swaim.
yards.
Jeff Swaim. That's a name you need to know for tight end if you're in the Cole Kmet camp.
Tyler Conklin.
Conklin, dude, I love Conklin.
Conklin, go get Logan Thomas if he's somehow still out there. Like
Conklin was part of the reason that Irv Smith couldn't flourish because he just was better.
I mean, Cole Kmet is still seeing
but
crazy amount of snaps. He's just not running routes right now. So I don't know what to think about it.
Because they got Fields. They're like, son of a bitch, how much are we going to have to pay to get the beard out of retirement?
I don't know.
Evan Ingram has more routes run.
That's what I mean. That's all I've got with that.
Bashir's revenge of
I don't feel good about it. I feel much better about
that we've hated for years. They're now falling out.
I feel much better about Mooney being able to return value sooner than Kmet at this point. Because at least he runs routes. Yeah. Kmet's not.
Still a great segue to the tight ends.
It's like I know what's coming next.
So, speaking of tight ends, Mike, take it away.
All right. So, I mean, this one I was going to write down too, AJ, with you. So I'm glad you wrote it down. I mean, Kyle
did you see my comment? I was like, what the fuck is he doing in this cell? Get out of the cell. Get out of the cell, damn it.
Kyle Pitts,
then he wrote that under don't delete my question, bro.
Yeah, I specifically
copied y'all fighting in the Google sheet for our show agenda. What the hell's going on here? I have no part of this. I'm not part of this show. Like, I just get asked questions and figure it out later.
Yeah.
I mean, do I really need to say much more about Kyle Pitts? I mean, you have him ranked
just
at
mention his name
5.
And we'll figure it out.
You have him ranked at tight end 5.
Pits.
Where are you mustering up this confidence to put him that high?
How dare you?
Because the tight end position still sucks. Can I just say that? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The tight end position still sucks.
Valid.
A lot of these guys are still super touchdown dependent. Yes. Could I easily put Kyle Pitts down at like 13 or 14 behind Everett and Thomas and Irv Smith, who are outperforming him at this point by a lot? Yeah, sure. But would we at all be surprised if next week, or in a few days, I guess I should say, we are all here talking how Kyle Pitts has had the game of his life? Would we be surprised? I wouldn't be. The guy still runs an enormous amount of snaps. He saw 7 targets
in week 1. Yeah.
In week 1. Yeah, last week was not good. And he's going to have struggles with Mariota at quarterback. We all knew that was coming. But the talent is there. I mean, and that's really what is still driving that ranking at this point. The talent is there. They're still passing the ball a lot. So, it's not like it's not like the Bears, right? Where it was like, oh, they're just not passing the ball at all anymore. They're still passing the ball a ton. It's still Atlanta.
We got ourselves a running quarterback. We're going to try to do with that. Yeah.
Targets are still going to go his way, in my opinion. So the upside might not be there again this season that we were all hoping for. But talent-wise, he's still a top 5, top 6 tight end most weeks. If we start seeing the trend going where he's only going to get 4 or 5 targets a game and he's only going to catch 2 of them, then all right, we'll adjust. But right now, I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some injuries here. Quarterbacks. We'll just start with quarterbacks. Obviously, Justin Herbert is questionable right now with ribs. He was limited practice. I mean, the question here is, are you already rostering a second quarterback with his injury news?
So yeah, we quickly talked about this before the show, and it was a great question that Mike brought up. Quick 20-second answer is, unless you're in a deep league, I would wait until Sunday to find out what the news is on Herbert. At this point in the week, I doubt anybody is going out there and picking up and rostering a second or third quarterback if they already have a second. So whoever is on the waiver wire right now will likely be there Sunday for you. So you're going to have your pickings. Now, you're not dropping Herbert. You're dropping whoever chump is on the back end of your bench for him for a second quarterback. But that's what I would do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wanted to stop on that one. A, to steal question, Mike, and B,
fantastic question.
That's what we want to do. So one of the guys who you'd potentially be looking at on that waiver wire would be the next guy here, and that's Jameis Winston. I mean, he's
Jared Goff because
questionable.
people don't respect him still, but he should be picked up.
Well, yeah, he should be. But Winston also a decent option if he plays. But he's questionable with the back. He was limited practice. And Mr. Trey Lance, the darling of fantasy football 2022 season.
Two of my teams.
On the IR. Totally unfortunate. But, at the same time, is this something San Fran saw coming? Yeah, obviously not an injury, but it would have been more, in my mind, let's keep Jimmy G around because we don't know if this will pan out as the running quarterback thing.
They didn't try to keep Jimmy G. They told him he could get traded. He just didn't find anybody.
I know.
Kind of worked.
No one else that was like
really lucky for them that they were able to re-sign him for a reduced salary.
Exactly. So now he gets to play again.
That's pretty good.
And we'll see. All right. So running backs, we got James Conner is questionable with an ankle issue. He did not practice.
Damian Williams or Darrell, I forget which one is on it.
Darrell Williams.
Darrell Williams, go get him.
Yeah,
he's the one you want.
He gets a bump up for sure. We saw what he did.
Benjamin is also in the mix, but I think Darrell Williams is the guy you want if James Conner misses time.
Yeah, I think if it's long term, I actually like Benjamin to, outplay Williams down the line. But starting off here in week 3, you got to go Williams.
I think I think Eno's got his role, right? But I think Williams is the guy that we saw it last week, right? When Connor went out, Williams was the one that stepped in and took that role. Benjamin had a role in week 1. Williams didn't.
Yeah.
Connor, once he got hurt, Williams stepped in and really, really took over the rest of that game. So I think Williams is the one you want.
All right.
And the Browns just scored. Nick Chubb.
Yes.
There you go.
Take that.
And I picked the Browns to win this game, so there you go.
Yeah, actually, I did as well. All right. We got D Swift was questionable with an ankle as well.
That's interesting.
He did not practice. We've got CMC questionable with an ankle as well, but he was at least a limited
stiffness
practice
in his leg or something. But who knows what that means?
Yeah, it's like, guys, I haven't played in 2 years. What the hell is this?
Got shin splints. Who knows?
Yeah. Josh Jacobs is questionable with an illness. Kamara is questionable with ribs, limited practice. Fournette questionable hamstring, limited practice. I mean, okay. What are your thoughts on those two? I mean, we'll leave it in this.
Kamara and Fournette.
Yeah, this AFC.
Kamara, obviously, if he plays, he's in for me. And I'm ranking him as he's gonna play. Like he's in my top 15, I believe. Fournette, he's still up there for me right now. Obviously, if Kamara doesn't play, Ingram becomes a not a easy plug and play, but like if depending on who else you have, but he is an easy target to put in there for Fournette. Like if he doesn't play, like I don't know who I trust in that Tampa backfield. Like Rashad White, like I don't think I really care about. I don't think Brady trusts anybody there. So I think it's just going to be a heavy. I almost just
maybe Gio, but not running the ball though.
I think I just bumped that entire. I think it's going to be a 50 passing attempt game for Tom Brady. He's just not going to hand the ball off. He's going to be like, check, and just pass. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't care.
I mean, that's what he's going to do. So, all right, jumping into wide receivers here, we've got Moore in Arizona is questionable with a hamstring. He did not practice. We got Gallup. He was questionable with his knee and ACL. Not sure if I saw the news if he practiced or not.
He's been practicing, and there's optimism that he'll play.
Okay.
So
that's what I was thinking. I was somehow able to make a pickup with him still on my IR spot on ESPN, which I thought they blocked that, but
yeah, who knows anymore? Yeah. So my real quick, because honestly, there's not a lot of like groundbreaking news here to where we're like, oh, we don't know what to do with these injuries, but the Gallup one is the news, right? So Noah Brown has been phenomenal these first 2 weeks, even with Cooper Rush as the quarterback for the first game and a half, right? With Gallup returning, Noah Brown takes a step back, but I don't know if it's going to happen in week 3. Gallup's going to have a reduced snap count for sure. I kind of think both fall into that like mid 40 range for receivers, honestly, and to where they're both sort of like they're sort of just hope and prayers, receivers. I actually currently have Brown as 54 and Gallup at I have him at 73, so even lower than that. But that's sort of like taking into consideration we're not totally sure about Gallup still. So if Gallup plays, maybe I bump into like the mid 40s, and then I bump Brown maybe down into the 60s. I don't love either one at this point because they both won't see the field enough and don't have a quality enough quarterback for me to care.
No. And it's a division game, Monday Night Football.
I know it's the Giants, but hey,
rivalry
they're playing
game.
Great.
I hashtag
not suck at Keith, I guess.
Applegarth.
That's
you're
a
welcome,
2-0
Keith.
Giants.
That's what I said. Not suck at Keith, maybe.
Yeah. Hashtag not suck at Keith. I like better. Yeah. I don't need to bring my name in with the Giants ever again.
I was gonna say, what the hell are you doing to yourself?
All right, so moving through, we got Gabe Davis,
we got
still questionable with an ankle.
Maybe it's a suck at AJ then tweet.
No,
we
don't do that.
No. Eagles are also 2-0 and look way better than the Giants. Just saying. We got Mr. Jerry Jeudy questionable with ribs. He was a DNP. We got Alan Lazard questionable with an ankle issue, limited practice. Pittman, who was out last week, is still questionable with quads. I mean, we don't know if he's practicing yet. I mean, are you worried about Pittman at all?
I am. I wish we could get some info on it. I don't know why we don't. So I'm gonna look that up actually now because curious here if we have any. No, there's just literally nothing. Like that's weird. Why do they play late or something and they don't have to? Do they play like? I know they don't play Monday.
Indy is playing Kansas City. No, they're a 1:00 game.
That's weird. Usually you have to have information out by this point, so it's kind of weird that we don't have any limited practice Thursday. There we go. I'm just seeing it now, so that's good news.
So he's trending upwards, but still keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Hardman, who we were talking about earlier, is questionable. Same game with a heel. He was a limited practice, so trending towards playing potentially. We got Hunter Renfro is questionable with concussion. He did not practice. Keenan Allen, who we also mentioned briefly earlier, still got a hamstring. He was a limited practice, but I mean, Allen, they're not going to make him a decoy, are they?
I didn't think so. I at this point, the Chargers are still good enough to where I think they, can get over another game, especially against Jacksonville without him. I know they lost against Kansas City without him, but maybe hold him out for one extra week. But look, if he's healthy, I think he's going to play. I mean, I just don't see any reason why to put him out there and risk any extra injury if they don't think he's good. If he's out there, I think you use him. I don't think the Chargers are one of those teams where they use decoys.
No, I agree. I think he's on a team that's in a win now mode. They're not going to risk the health of their best receiver.
Careful, man. You might piss off some people about that one. The best receiver. I'm kidding. I agree with you still.
The most consistent. We'll go there, I guess.
Still best.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. We got
just
Myers.
rip through the rest of these. I'm done.
All right. Myers is questionable in Jacoby Myers, that is, in New England with a knee. He did not practice. That is very disappointing because he's been very good so far this year.
Yeah, it's been.
Kadarius Toney, there you go. Suck it, Keith. Questionable with a hamstring. NA, so nobody knows. He
didn't practice Wednesday. That's all I know. I couldn't find anything else either.
That's fine. Suck it. We got Russell Gage, Tampa Bay, questionable with a hamstring, limited practice. Chris Godwin, Tampa Bay, questionable with a hamstring, DNP. We got Julio down by the schoolyard. Jones, Tampa Bay, questionable with a knee, DNP. Yes, it rhymes. And now it's Mike Evans' time. Tampa Bay, he is out because he punched a guy in the face.
He didn't just punch him, dude. He literally drilled him. That was a wrestling move, man. It was like, oh my God. All right.
I mean, I appreciate it, but yeah. So looking at all of those injuries in Tampa Bay, and they somehow managed to sign Cole Beasley. So
Beasley.
Cole Beasley, DFS hero this week.
I picked him up in every league I could.
Gray Award
I hate the guy, but I want to win.
1 week wonders. Speaking of Buffalo, tight end Dawson Knox, questionable with a foot.
He's been disappointing too.
Practice. Definitely been disappointing. So if he doesn't play, I mean, that might be better for you. Dalton Schultz, unless you have Knox and Pitts. Dalton Schultz, questionable knee and PCL issue.
He might miss a few weeks. This could be a bad injury for him.
They just haven't really. This is a bad one, I think.
Like, how do you not know at this point? Like, it seems weird.
I don't understand that. I mean, unless they're just trying to play possum because they have an extra day, I don't know. But this could hurt some teams.
This injury was the same as Zeke's last
year. Yes.
Oof.
To where what?
Not good.
Zeke?
He played, but he wasn't good.
But he was not productive. He never missed a game, right?
No, he didn't. Surprisingly, he's one tough son of a gun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just be weary of starting Dalton Schultz. I know tight end's not good, but
look at some waiver options. Especially if your league clears and is free reign pickups, you may want to stash some tight ends. TJ Hawkinson, questionable with a hip. He was a limited practice, so trending hopefully in the right direction. Taysom Hill is questionable with ribs, limited practice, and George Kittle is questionable with a groin, limited practice. Out now, brown cow.
By the way, can I just say, Taysom Hill, please don't play, because like when you play, you're annoying. Like you're not fantasy useful. You just take away carries from Kamara and Ingram. Just stay off the field.
Yeah. But
It would
if
make our lives a
Kamara's
lot
not
easier.
playing and Taysom is, hello carries.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would make our lives a lot easier, at least as far as the rankings. All right, guys, that is it for the show. Hope you guys appreciated it and got some good information out of it. Be doing more of the same next week, and thank you, nobody, for commenting on the Hokie game, because AJ and I
Yes, we greatly
are gonna
appreciate
go
it.
watch it now. So, good night, everyone, and good luck this week. Subscribe to our site and our Discord channel, and see y'all next week.
Peace.